Hello and welcome to the video. My name is Ryan and thank you for checking out my series where I am having a casual first impressions discussion about the Ian Fleming 007 books. So today I'm going to be having a chat about The Spy Who Loved Me. So just off the bat, this book and the movie version are just nothing alike. Before we get into it, as always, I will show you the actual cover of the book, and you've got the inside bit as well. Let's make sure you can actually see that. So like I say, this book and the movie are just not the same, even slightly. I've forgotten her name now, because of course I have, because why wouldn't I remember it? But I'll flick through and hopefully the name will pop out to me. So this book is actually not from Bond's perspective. It is from the perspective of a young woman who is a Canadian woman who travels to London. And she ends up I think she studies in London, meets a guy there who ends up being her first lover and everything. And it turns out the guy is a scumbag. Like, he pushes her to have sex and stuff. She reluctantly agrees and they end up having sex, and then subsequently getting caught very quickly in a cinema, basically, like in a little private room in a cinema. The guy opens the door, like shouts at him, calls them like dirty scumbags or whatever, kicks them out. And then after that, the guy basically just says, oh yeah, I'm moving one way in life, you're going another way, and it's just not meant to be. So he leaves. She gets upset and is like, right, I'm moving to a different part of the UK. I think it's still the other part of England, but it's like, oh, I'm going to go to a different part of the UK and I'm going to start again and I'm going to try and make another go of it. Is it Vivian? I think it's Vivian. And I'm going to make another go of it. And from there, then she goes to another part of London. She gets she gets a new job. Her boss there, over a course of time, they end up becoming a thing as well. The boss is a German man who was in an arranged marriage, was going to get married to a German woman, but she ended up, I'm not sure if she ended up cheating or just getting into another relationship because just the long distance thing was not working for her. And then eventually, then through his heartache and them just her consoling him and just spending time together, because I believe they were also neighbours in the building that they both lived as well. They eventually start a thing together as well. I don't recall why he breaks up with her, but he ends up just screwing her over as well for one reason or another. And after that, then she just had enough. She decides she wants to go to America, so she travels back to Canada to see her family, I think just to see her mother, and decides she's going to have a little road trip down from Canada into America, to whichever part of America she decides she wants to go to. New York, probably. So does it say? Either way, so she decides she wants to travel and get away from the UK and just live a happier life in America, where she can be away from all of these people who have screwed her over. And then so she gets a Vespa and decides she's going to have a road trip to it as well. Travel down there, have a fun old time, and just see all the sights along the way. As a result, she kind of treats herself a little bit too much, and she has to pick up little odd jobs where she can to kind of make back the money. Now, I don't recall if this happens on the first job that she does or if there's another one before it. I think this is the first one though. But basically she ends up going into a motel or a hotel, and they offer, if you want to work with us, we'll pay you for the next 2 or 3 weeks, whatever. And then that should fund you basically, or finance you for the rest of your travel, or at least a good portion of it. So she agrees to it. She works there for a couple of weeks, And then on the final day, where they say, right, we are going to be leaving tomorrow. Can you stay until the day after to hand over the keys uh, for our boss, Mr. Sanguinetti, I think his name is. He'll like have someone come to the motel to collect the keys, and then you can be on your way. They'll give you your money, and then that's it. So she reluctantly agrees to this, instantly notices that I think I seen Mrs. Thompson just now, so it might be the Thompsons, or that might have just been a guest. But I can't remember the name of the people who she's working like directly under. But basically, they end up then becoming really like mean, because the husband would sort of playfully make passes at her, but nothing like aggressive or nothing mean. But then he started becoming a lot less friendly towards her. The wife was a lot more like just overtly unfriendly towards her, and she felt it was very suspicious. But then they left the day after, and she is then there on her own. She goes through the first day doing whatever it is she needs to do there, and then in the evening, I believe she's hit by a lightning bolt. Actually, I'm pretty sure. Let's have a look. Scaredy cat. I was no, right. No, where is it? It mentions somewhere that she was like the weather got really bad at the motel, and I think a lightning bolt struck the generator or something and knocked her out. I'm sure she gets hit by lightning. Oh, not like directly. The rain was hammering down as hard. Where are we? Does it mention something about lightning? So look, if I just skip to the end of the chapter, because that feels like a chapter ender, if you ask me. So look, yeah. Whoop. Either way, I'm pretty sure like lightning nearly kills her, basically destroying her TV and something. I'm sure that happens to her by here. And then she gets woken up by someone hammering on the door because she forgot to turn off the no vacancy sign because she was hit by lightning. Pretty sure she's, well, fingers crossed. I'm fairly certain. I'm not sure what expression you make for like, I'm fairly confident that's what happened. And then these two men are outside, really tall, skinny, gangly man, and then I think a pudgy, short, basically albino man with absolutely no hair because he has alopecia, or however you say the bloody thing. And then these guys come in who are clearly bad news. They sort of like force their way in by telling her that they are the representatives of Mr. Sanguinetti, which they're not lying. But then Vivian basically finds out that Mr. Sanguinetti is not a nice man. He's not someone you really want to work for. And she's clearly gotten herself mixed up in some really, really bad business. After dealing with these guys for a little time, she decides to just basically try to run away. She runs out of the motel. I'm just going to call it a motel going forward. She runs out of the motel, and then the two of them chase her. They eventually manage to get her back, and if I'm not mistaken, Horror then... Oh yeah, so Slugsy and Horror are the name of the two men. Horror is the tall, skinny, gangly one, and Slugsy is the pudgy alopecia man. Alopecia? Oh, it didn't matter. But he's the bald man. He's the short man with no hair. So then they end up getting her back. Horror ends up beating her up for a bit as punishment. And then I believe they make them some food and a drink. It's also like slowly building up where Slugsy is basically telling her, I am going to rape you tonight. Either you will have sex with me or I will rape you. And Horror is just like, just make sure we get everything done beforehand, sort of thing. Like, he doesn't care what's happening, just as long as their mission is complete. And then, like I say, this is building up, and the tension for Vivian is becoming horrendous. And then, out of nowhere, someone knocks on the door again. And then she realizes that she once again forgot to turn off the no vacancy sign. And this is then the beginning of Act 3, because this book is split into 3 acts, which is part 1, me, part 1, Them, which is Slugsy and Horror, and then part 3, Him. I know I'm looking, I know what they are. And Him is, of course, James Bond. So if you've ever seen a YouTube channel called Fact Fiend, channel I enjoyed watching Fact Fiend for a while, a few years ago, but then they got really sort of political with everything and very one-sided in their opinions and very much condemning of any other opinion. And even if it's an opinion I agree with, I don't like that mindset. It puts me off someone very quickly. But I'm 99% sure it was this channel. So if it wasn't, I apologise for bringing them up unjustly. But I'm 99% sure it was Fact Fiend. And they mentioned basically how Bond in the books, generally, and in particular this book, is a massive knobhead and a very unlikable character and just a terrible person. And if you read this book, you will find out that that is a load of bullshit. Bond is an opinionated person, and Bond is very much a man from the 1950s. But if you're going to call someone a dick just because he's a man of his time, then I think that's just stupid. Because everyone will be a dick to you if they're not from the time that you are currently living in, or at least the vast majority of them. You just got to take people for what was acceptable at the time. And also, Bond is a man in a super, super stressful job where he could die at any moment. So, of course, he's got like a bit of a short temper. He likes to treat himself when on the mission, like having drinks, having fancy food. He doesn't really sleep around like he does in the movies, at least anyway. He tends to like fall in love with the person that he sleeps with. This book is actually the only exception, but this is 100% fueled by Vivian. Vivian wants to sleep with Bond because he saved her life, and she is enamored by him. She falls for him and the idea of who she thinks he is. But Bond is very quick to tell her, I am exactly the same as Horror and Slugsy. It's just I work for the British government and not for some gangster. So, like, you know, the heartlessness that I have is directed in a positive way, or at least a more positive way. So he has no delusions of who he is or what he is as a person. But yeah, so it's a ridiculous take from people who clearly haven't read the books, or they have, and their opinion of things is so one-sided that they can't accept people were different in the past, like 70 years ago at this point, more or less. Bond is set in like the 50s or maybe the 60s, which is then 60 years ago. It's so long ago, you can't expect someone to behave exactly as you do now. But yeah, so Bond knocks on the door. Vivian lets him in after Horror and Slugsy eventually say, fine, you can open the door, but tell him he can't come in, shoo him away, and then be done with it. But she lets him in. And then he very quickly establishes that he is part of the British Secret Service. Oh, no, sorry, not British Secret Service. He establishes that he's a policeman, is what he says. So that way, Slugsy and Horror are instantly on the back foot. They won't try anything crazy to Bond because they don't know what sort of repercussions could happen to them and what sort of a shit show this could bring down on Mr. Sanguinetti. So then for a time, things do manage to calm down a little bit for Vivian. She's got her, like, you know, her literal knight in shining armour who's there to sort her out. She makes Bond a bit of food and a bit of coffee, but unlike the food she made, or at least the coffee that she made for Horror, she doesn't give him the coffee that fell on the floor after the initial, fight where she escaped and got outside. She gives him the nice coffee that's still in the pot. Basically then they just have sort of tense interactions and just a tense couple of hours before it's time for bed. Bond goes to Vivian's room with her to help her barricade the room. He gives her his gun so she's basically prepared in case something happens. And like I say, the door is very strongly barricaded, so no one should be able to get in the room. And then he goes to his room, which again, Slugsy and Horror, being the monsters they are, strategically gave him a room the exact opposite side of like the motel, like all the way down the hall and on the other side, so he's nowhere near her. And then he goes to his room, and then they all go to sleep. And then Vivian is woken up by Slugsy in her room, and the door is still barricaded, so she is instantly startled. And then you find out that he actually like basically broke through the wall into her wardrobe earlier in the day. I think he basically completely broke through, or mostly broke through, and then there was just a little bit left, or he covered it up with a poster or something like that. You know, I can't remember what it was, but he disguised it so she didn't realize that he had in fact turned their double room into a single. And I believe at this exact same point, Horror is setting the motel on fire. So Mr. Sanguinetti can obviously like claim insurance on it and just get a load of money out of it. And I don't recall how Bond interacts with this scene, like when he wakes up and when he gets involved. But I'm pretty sure it's as Vivian is being basically like choked out, I think Bond eventually shows up and saves her. And I can't remember. So basically, Slugsy is either shot then, or it's when they're outside and Bond and Vivian are in basically a shootout. Bond mainly is in a shootout of Slugsy and Horror, and then he eventually manages to shoot and kill Horror, and he shoots and kills Slugsy. And then, like, you know, the whole ordeal is over. They go to a different part of the motel which isn't on fire. Then that's when they eventually do sleep together, where Vivian like kind of just makes her intentions known that she wants this, and Bond like agrees, or like, you know, gives her wish basically. Again, he like has the whole conversation where it's like, I'm not a good man, I'm not a great man, I'm basically one of these people, but I just work for the side of good, essentially. They then wake up in the evening, because it turns out Slugsy wasn't killed. He was just injured, I believe. And then I think he tries to get him through the window, but then eventually Bond does kill him. I think he kills him before he gets in the room. Actually, I can't remember what happens to Slugsy at this point. I just know he has a fake out death. He comes back and then he is killed. After that, then they do go to sleep for good, not for good, but for real this time. Wakes up in the morning. Bond has left a note for Vivian explaining the whole situation to her, telling her that the motorbike Vespa, whatever it was that she had that got damaged, will be replaced for her. That the police are coming down there. They'll have a discussion with her, but Bond has informed them of most of everything and told them basically to treat you nicely and don't waste too much of your time. Just ask what you need and then just let you be on your way with your new bike. And I think he might give her a bit of spending money. I'm not sure about that though. He definitely gets her a new bike. Then the guy, like, you know, the police officers come down. They have their conversations with Vivian about everything that happened and about Bond and such. And I believe the book then just ends with Vivian continuing to go on her way. Let's have a look. Secret agent. I didn't care what he did. A number, I had already forgotten it. I knew exactly who he was and what he was, and everything, every small detail would be written in my heart forever. Oh yeah, so yeah, he even tells her that he's 007, but he tells her, like, you have to forget that I am 007. But yeah, so it is a good book. It is a fun read. It's getting dark in here. And it's very different from the other Bond stories. So if you want something that's a change of pace, definitely give The Spy Who Loved Me, or you could even give Quantum of Solace in For Your Eyes Only a read as well, if you wanted a different sort of Bond story. But overall, it is still a good book. I would rate it a 7 out of 10, just because the first chapter, or the first arc, is just not why I come to read a Bond story. The second part, where Vivian is being like traumatized essentially by Slugsy and Horror, is a lot more in line, because, you know, you want that sort of gangster feel, and the bad guys and the good guys just like regular day arseholes doesn't quite cut it for me. But then the final act when Bond and Vivian are together is phenomenal. I really like the final act. But yeah, so overall I'd give it a 7 out of 10. Still a good book. I still recommend it. Yeah. So let me know what you think of The Spy Who Loved Me, and let me know what you think of it compared to the movie. Because obviously the movie is very different. You have Roger Moore. You get Jaws. And I can't remember a great deal of it actually off the top of my head now. Oh no, that's when they go to Egypt, isn't it? You go to Egypt. Um, yeah, the movie's a very good movie. I prefer the movie to the book version. It's a rare one for the stories, but they're so drastically different. But yeah, let me know what you would rank The Spy Who Loved Me, and how you'd rank it compared to the other Bond stories, book or movie. Thank you, and I will see you in On Her Majesty's Secret Service.